My son held my hand as I delivered his baby brother on the kitchen floor. My husband, he wasn't there. And when he showed up later, his reaction ended our marriage. I went into labor early, alone in the kitchen. My husband was at his mother's for their usual Sunday dinner. I tried calling, but his mother answered and said, "He's busy eating, call someone else." I gave birth on the floor, my 10-year-old son clutching my hand. When my husband finally arrived, he stared at the baby and said, "He doesn't look like me." I handed him the scissors for the umbilical cord and said, "Cut what you want. You're not staying." It was a Sunday, 3 weeks shy of my due date. I remember the date clearly because I'd spent that morning folding baby clothes. Tiny socks, onesies with little ducks, and a soft green blanket I'd picked up at a second-hand shop. I was 37 weeks pregnant, exhausted, swollen, and barely sleeping. That morning I felt dull aches in my lower back, but I brushed them off as typical late pregnancy discomfort. I carried on with my day as usual. My husband, Daniel, was getting ready to head to his mother's. Sunday dinners at her house were a big deal to her. She called it family tradition. He called it mandatory. I despised it, not because I hated family gatherings, but because I always felt like an outsider. I was barely acknowledged, often ignored, and sometimes openly criticized. She'd make snide remarks about my appearance, my parenting of our son, Ethan, or how her house wasn't clean enough, though she never offered to help. When I was pregnant with Ethan, she told Daniel I was likely exaggerating my nausea for sympathy. He laughed it off when I said it stung, claiming she didn't mean it that way. He always had an excuse for her. This time I didn't ask him to stay. I knew what he'd say. I watched him put on his jacket, grab his keys, and walk out. I was in the kitchen trying to chop potatoes when the pains sharpened lower, more intense. They came faster, closer together. I leaned against the counter, breathing hard. My hands trembled. Ethan was in the living room reading. He was 10, gentle, observant, always studying my face like he understood more than most grown-ups. I dialed Daniel, no answer. I called again, voicemail. On the third try, his mother picked up. "He's eating," she said, like that settled it. I told her I was in labor and needed him. She said, "Find someone else," and hung up. I stared at the phone, frozen. My pulse raced. My legs felt weak. I wanted to yell, but I held back for Ethan's sake. Minutes later, my water broke. It spilled across the kitchen floor, soaking my clothes. I grabbed a towel and sank down. It hit me then. I was truly alone. No husband, no help, just me and my 10-year-old son who now stood in the doorway, eyes wide with fear. I told him it was okay. I told him to grab my phone. He asked if I was going to die. That shattered me. I told him to call 911. He did, his hands shaking. He gave me the phone and I tried to stay calm for the dispatcher. They said help was on the way but delayed by traffic. They told me to lie down if I could. It sounded like the labor was moving fast. I stretched out on the cold tiles, using a cushion Ethan brought from the sofa, and waited. The contractions were fierce, relentless. The pain was unbearable, and I couldn't shield Ethan from it anymore. He sat beside me, holding my hand, tears streaming down his face. I muffled my screams with a towel so the neighbor— This is just a short part of the story. For the full story, click the link below and watch it on our channel. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, so you never miss the amazing stories we upload next.